Why I quit my 9 to 5. 5 signs it was time for me to go. Full-time entrepreneur. Let's talk about it. These 5 signs I'm about to give you are in no particular order, but I'm gonna talk about the 5 signs. The very first sign I had, I was not myself at work. For real. I would get to work and I would no longer be the same person that I always am. The same way that people used to see me, I wasn't that person, and I was easily irritated. I had a short fuse. Anything would set me off, and I just wasn't myself. That was the first sign it was time for me to go. After that, it's what I call energy drain. My energy drain was the second sign that it was time for me to go. It would be zapped when I get to work. I remember one particular time where I was scheduled to work and I was fine all day, but when I got to work, I had less energy. Somebody made a phone call and they picked up my shift. And I remember the moment that they accepted my shift, my energy increased. And then when I walked out the door, it increased even more. It was an energy drain every time I either got to work or anytime I even thought about work, my energy would decrease. That was a second sign it might be time for me to go. Third sign is what I would call bed dread. What is bed dread? So bed dread is when you might stay up later than you usually stay up just because you're not looking forward to going to work the next day. Because if you work in the morning, the sooner you go to bed, the sooner you have to get up and go to work. So I would stay up late just because I was not excited about the next day. Then when I did get up, I was dreading getting out of bed to go to work. Like I was not looking forward. It was just a feeling of not wanting to go. It was so heavy on me that I would stay in bed from time to time. So third sign, bed dread. Sign number 4, peer confirmation. So remember in the first sign, I told you how I wasn't myself? Well, in the fourth sign that I had, my friends, my family, my coworkers, and even my managers realized that I was a different person. Sometimes they would even voice that I was a different person at times. So if you're going through a situation to where you're getting to work and people are realizing that you're a little bit different, that's pure confirmation that you're different, and it may be a sign it's time for you to make that leap. Fourth sign, my performance dipped. The things that I would do, the level of service that I would give, it wasn't what it used to be because I didn't want to be there. And my performance just dipped, and I realized that I cared less. I used to be so hyped up about what it is that I had to do, but the longer that I stayed there when I didn't want to be there anymore, I just started caring less about what needed to be done. I started coming in later. I wasn't staying as long as I used to stay. Sometimes I would always come in early, then I started getting on time, maybe even a couple of minutes behind. I just cared less. I found myself at work, I would be daydreaming from time to time about not being there, about doing things that I'd rather be doing. And I realized that I started thinking more about my potential and how I wasn't being utilized the way that I really believe I could be utilized. There was one story I remember. There was a time to where I came across a photo, and it was a photo of Superman. And Superman was walking and he had 2 guards on the side of him, on his left side and his right side. And the guards that were there had him in handcuffs, like he was getting ready to go to jail. And I remember when I looked at that, I felt like I was in Superman's position. Like here was this being with all these abilities, and he wasn't utilizing any of them. He had heat vision, he had ice breath, super speed, super strength, all these abilities, all this potential, and he was in handcuffs. And I realized that's how I felt working this 9 to 5. I had all these things going on, but I was in handcuffs. I was chained. I was limited. And these 5 signs really showed me that it was time for me to do something a little bit different. Now, entrepreneurship was what I really wanted to do. I just didn't know how to do it. But when I realized that I had these 5 signs, something sparked in me. And there was a moment of truth, a moment that I realized that I was done. I was always that person that would come in on time or early. There would be times I come a little late when I started caring less. But I remember one time I came into work and my manager at the time, I asked him if I could get off for a particular reason, and I didn't get it. I was denied getting off. And I remember the feeling of disgust, just being disgusted with this, having to request off and hoping that you might get it for whatever the situation might be. And when this happened, I was done. I realized that was it. And going through this time, I had feelings, and I felt all of the uns. I felt underpaid, I felt undervalued, I felt unsatisfied, I felt unhappy, I felt all of these uns, unfulfilled, you name it. And that's not a way to live. I really believe that we're supposed to live a life that we're enjoying, or do the things that we were destined to do or purpose to do. And if you're really doing those things, you're not going to be dreading getting up. You're not going to be dreading going to work. So those are the 5 signs that I had. I would like to know, can you relate to any of those signs? How many of those signs are you experiencing right now? And if you are experiencing those 5 signs, it's a strong indication that you may be burnt out of what you're doing, and it may be time to start considering doing something a little bit different. So again, this is the first video of a 30-day series. Each day, I'm gonna have a brand new video, one each day, every single day, 7 days a week, about my personal journey and what I did and what you can possibly do to go from 9 to 5 to entrepreneur. So in closing, how many signs have you had? Please like, comment, share this with anybody you know who may be experiencing these things, who may want to go full-time entrepreneur, not sure where to start. I'm giving the game away for free. So thanks for tapping in, and I'll see you in the next video.